We're still continuing with the interviews before the start of the 2024 VCT Americas Kickoff event, and for this occasion, I am here alongside NaturE of Evil Geniuses, the new IGL for the team ahead of the start of this competition. So, NaturE, like I said before, thank you so much for taking the time. Well, nobody. It would be best to say that nobody would expect, um, you to get into VCT Americas, at the end of the off season, but not to see you be in this position with EG, it is quite a sight to see. So I just want to start off exactly with how exactly did you join EG in the first place? What was that timeline like for you?
So the start of my conversation with Potter was right before I was going to Tokyo with 100 Thieves, and I had to stop it and do that sub in with 100 Thieves, and then we like picked the conversation back up the moment I finished. I left like pretty much the day after we finished Red Bull, and then went home, and I was like, okay, I just need like a day or two to relax, and then I'm ready to start. And then pretty much the following week she put me in for a few weeks. I got pretty sick, and then we were kind of just doing like negotiations, and then from there on, pretty much knew I was joining them. Just like kind of waiting for everything to finalize.
Yeah, and given the fact that there was plenty of like not a lot of activity within the EG camp during the offseason, aside from having to reshuffle the roster. What was that timeline like? Did all this happen like happen within the space like a few months or a few weeks? Because I understand that this kind of move was made like right at the very near the end of this recent offseason.
Okay, so what happened? I think that like EG kind of knew that the people that were like leaving and like who they were filling for quite a bit. So one right after Tokyo, I think it was probably like beginning of December and stuff like that. I had like maybe in November, and then we started playing and stuff like that. And then probably right after Christmas was the day after we started with the five, and then Corbin or Calm ended up going to Leviathan, so we had to find another one. That was kind of like the timeline. It was about 3 weeks, I would say, once I got back from Tokyo.
It's been quite a whirlwind of events for you to go through, right?
Yeah, the off season was a little brutal. I
Oh yeah.
traveled pretty much everywhere.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And that said, not going in with the team, of course, you're playing alongside a mixture of tier one talent and people that have played in tier twos. Giacomo, Derek, Apoff, and then Superman. And so, despite having to trying to fit everyone in team wise within the space of a month, how have you been seeing the progression for you with the team? How have you guys been building that synergy so far at this moment in time?
Yeah. The progression so far has been like pretty good. I think there will be a lot of progression done in just a few games uh, on the qualification to Madrid. Because like you said, like some people have only played a little bit of tier two stuff like that. Apop hasn't really played that much on stage, so his first stage game, no matter how he plays, he will learn so much from that first stage game and stuff like that. The progression in practice has been pretty much right aligned with the conversations that I've had with like all of them, Potter and stuff like that. So I feel like we're like on the right track in terms of where we want to be. We just you never know what will happen when the first stage game comes and stuff like that. So that will be like a big progression for us as a squad. That's pretty much how it works for like every team. I feel like you'll progress very quickly in scrim, and I feel like you'll learn a lot, but until you play that first game, that's the block right there. That's where you're like, okay, there's this amount of mistakes we made, and we can improve on all of these for stage, and that's when like a team becomes very good.
Talk to me about learning from Potter and Giacomo specifically, because of course they're the defending world champions within this roster, and it's one thing to observe them and just see them compete from a far distance, but what's that been like for you to work with them in person right now?
I mean, to be honest, it's been a joy. Like, I think we all vibe very well, which is very nice, and to have in a squad. But like learning from Joel and Potter, I think the thing is it wasn't just like a good run all year, and they were an insane team. Is it's that they know what the bottom was because they almost didn't make anything, right? And then they made it all the way to the top. So like they know the stages that we also have to go through. And that's brought up like that's why our learning and like our timeline we've talked about so much because they know it's not like in the first 3 weeks we can be the best team in the world, right? That's what we're opting to be there. We expect to qualify, stuff like that. But we still have like a timeline and we're trying to make sure we're on that timeline. Is kind of what I've learned mostly from them.
What about the other the other the three members within the lineup? Because of course, you've had some experience playing against them over the years throughout your Valorant career, and a few occasions you played alongside them. But what's it like, working with Derek, Apop, and Superman in particular?
I mean, the other three guys, Derek, Vince, and then fought or Superman and Napoth. I mean, they're all very good. The thing about the whole squad, these three, all of them, they're very good individually, which is like what is kind of like really important in this game. I feel like compared to like other games and stuff like that, it's a very individualized game where you have to win your ones or like you pull somebody over, you individually pull someone over into your spot and like bring them and wrap them in. And I think that's what's like really important. That's what we've been working on the most is yes, we win our one. Yes, we have to do our hero play sometimes, but if we can pull somebody out with us, that's like the most important thing. And I'm working with talent that's like very, very good at that because that's the type of style that they've played, all of them in their previous rosters. Like some of my previous rosters tried to be very, very structured and only do that and stuff like that. But we have like, the nice mix that I feel like a lot of teams have changed to where, you have your structure when it matters, but you also individually get to do your own stuff as well.
Hmm. Sorry about that. When it comes to leading when it comes to you being in a position such as the IGO for a roster like this, um, you know, going in line with what you've been in with how you've been describing your teammates, what has been the difficult part in terms of just having them play under your direction and going about it during matches? What's been the difficult part behind that front in particular?
I mean, I wouldn't say anything's been super, super difficult. I feel like there's just like processes to learn like what I believe in calling and like when I want to slow down, what do I mean by that, stuff like that. And that's like the type of things that we've worked on and made sure that, Potter agrees with my decision making on like what I want to be done if we like slowed around down or called freeze or something like that. Um, those are like things that obviously new teams work on a lot at the start. And that's like the reps that we've been trying to get for the most part. And it's not like difficult, but there have been rounds that we've had to watch where I'm like, let's not do this, or let's like we encourage to do this instead. Uh, Other than that, nothing's been too crazy. I feel like I've really bought into the type of system that I talked about, where we do the things correct when it needs to be correct, but start of the round if we have something someone wants to do this play, we either help them, we say let's do it.
Right, right. And of course, I want to ask you about the public's perception towards this team in EG. And of course, it's been reported many times throughout this past offseason about what the org has been doing within Valorant and outside of that. And I want to ask that when it came to you deciding, when it came to you looking at the cards on the table and you deciding what you want to do for this upcoming season, and and EG presented itself to you. Um, did you consider the kind of reaction that the people, fans, the community would have when it comes to you joining EG for this season, with all of that things that happened in mind?
Well, I mean, it depends on how people take it. I feel like some people from like the actual Valorant community didn't they think of the roster as the same as it was like when EG first became a thing, right? And they're like, oh, maybe it works again, like maybe the year can happen the way they had it happen last year, because a lot of people call it a miracle run and stuff. But like public perception, yeah, I'm not like really surprised. I feel like I don't read it that much because I just don't really care that much. But I feel like they probably, I mean, a decent amount of them roasted us and stuff like that, and they're like flaming the org and stuff like that, which not the best thing in the world, but I don't think it like affects me. I mean, did I expect it? I feel like they could have gotten five of the best players and somehow would have still gotten some amount of hate, right? Because of the things that have been said over the offseason. So,
Mhm.
no, it's just whatever, really.
Going on top of that, that said, with everything that happened with EG during the off season, it's fair to say that there's not going to be a lot of fans supporting the org, but there's going to be a good amount of them supporting you guys, the players, outside of the org. How do you look at the perception towards the team and yourself in addition to how um the community perceives or looks at of the org?
Um, I feel like it's kind of like you just have to have tough skin, right? I think that, like I said, when it came to like the Val community and even some of like the higher players and stuff like that, they've already said their piece that the five players like that we have are like good individually and stuff like that, right? Like it could work, it could not, but they have five like decent players. That's the part where I want like all my players, myself. That's what we have to like hone in on, right? Like the people that are good at the game that understand like high level play, say that like we're decent, right? And I feel like the rest of it's just kind of have to have tough skin, like in anything you have to have tough skin, right? Doesn't matter what team you're on, like you could take one loss and the whole public is going to say something about you or the org, right? So, you just have to pick and choose what you leave in your head.
And in doing so, of course, this kind of, when it comes to looking at the team and how it compares to the rest of the league, it's sort of similar to how it was last year, in which many people didn't really look at the EG squad from last year as one that could make a lot of noise, and then we know how the story turned out from there, and it's sort of the same with this team around. So, how do you look at the perception, but more so towards the competitive aspect before the start of this season?
I think this season, just due to like everything that has happened to esports over the offseason, a lot of cuts and stuff like that. I feel like this season did like all the orgs did pretty well. Like it's a very I feel like it's even more competitive in NA than it was last year. Maybe like a biased opinion or something like that, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of the teams are very close in skill. So even like G2 coming in and stuff like that. So uh I feel like we definitely have a chance to do exactly what we did last or they did last year rather. Um we'll just see how it goes, you know what I mean?
What do you feel is going to be the most difficult obstacle that the team will face once the season does kick off, pun intended? Yeah.
Oh, I think the most difficult part is the start, right? We have, like I said, Vince or Apos hasn't played a match, but like on land really. So I feel like you had to get those kind of kinks out as a team, let alone like when players haven't. I have like little match experience. Derek has like last year, right? Joel has last year. Fought has match experience in other games on land, but not so much in this game. So like there will be kinks to take out. But once the start happens, we have a couple of games in and stuff like that. I think it will be not so many more difficulties.
Right, right. And I know I already asked a similar question before the start when it comes to, looking at where EG stands compared to the rest of the league, but it's sort of a little bit different from that. This is a two-part question. First off, you guys going to be in Group C alongside Crew and G2 in the event. What are your thoughts on facing off against him? And also, your thoughts on the road towards qualifying for Masters, provided that everything does go your way and you take care of business in the group stage and also in the playoffs.
Um, so Crew and G2, they're both like actually really, really good first matchups, I think, for us because well, it's been a while since G2 like they played the Ascension land, but it was pretty small to be fair. But these are like, now it's the uplead first stage game for them, like first stage game for some of us for the league, right? So it actually would be a really good match, I think, if we win against them, both of us get our kinks out, but we are also probably neither going to be at like complete 100% unless one of us are like really on, no effects being on stage and stuff like that. In terms of Crew, it's really, really hard to understand where they're at right now. We haven't like seen them too much, and I really honestly they've been like I feel like a ghost. I haven't seen anybody scrim them. I don't know if any scrim bucks. We haven't really scrimmed them, so I don't really know what to expect from them. I feel like they'll play pretty crazy considering like the pickups that happened. And they have Kesna. He's a pretty individualized player, but he's a very good individual. But he also plays like his game. So it'll just depend. I do think like in this part, it's very possible we go against Crew because I think they'll catch G2 off, and that will be like a really good game for us to watch to understand that we don't want to get caught off.
Right, right. And one more question before I wrap it up. More so towards you, and where do you see yourself as an IGO compared to the rest of the other IGOs within this league? Because of course, the vast majority of them have already got their licks in tier one last year, and so and it's a very big difference compared to you as someone that is going to make your debut in tier one for this new partner league format. So where do you see yourself as an IGO compared to the other ones, and what do you feel you lack, or maybe also have that the others don't have?
Uh, I mean, I feel like IGLing, it just depends on like the type of squad you have and the way you want to call, right? So I feel like if there's like a bunch of loose callers, and like when you have a very loose team, I feel like C9, a lot of the individuals get to do what they do, just like I talked about with my squad, right? Oxy he gets told like, hey, this is kind of the what I want to run. We can go for this pick, we can go for this prod, stuff like that, and then he gets to kind of like call what he wants. I feel like in terms of that, like I compare very fine. Like the game is very easy to call in that standard, and then you just have to like mid round. And I think mid rounding is pretty easy in this game. You just uh easy for some. Let me I'll rephrase it. Easy
Mm-hmm.
for some, if you have the brain for it and you can really like think about the game, which is where like it's harder for like end game leaders. People say shoot, shoot, shoot and stuff like that. But like just take a second, think about the game. I think it's a lot easier for than people think to mid round. So I think I compare well in like that aspect of, either the freelance mid rounding or like we have a couple of things that we kind of know we can mid round uh, with the other IGLs. I feel like if there are IGLs that are really going to try to play like not pitch perfect, but more what's the word for it? I'm trying to think.
Mm-hmm.
I blanked. There we go. Like more structural, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
like NRG would kind of like people would say like NRG did this like with FNS the years before, right? And maybe Ethan will do that, or maybe he'll like kind of go to how they played on EG last year, which seems like a more looser style, right? They had their like structure, but they were also allowed to do like what they thought was right. So that would be like the difference. If he wanted to go into a more structured, yeah, I don't do as much structure anymore because what I believed in the previous teams I played with is that this has worked better in my mind.
Right, right. And with that said, hopefully you guys are able to do well at the start of this event and beyond that. NaturE, really appreciate you taking the time and just doing this interview and answering all my questions once again. And best of luck in the future, man.
Thank you. Have a good day.